Oh, well, that was a nice hype intro.
Yeah, good one. Good moments, and
Good
most of
moments,
those just happened recently.
good
Also, some
vibes. Yeah,
nice
so
videos from Breakpoint.
yeah, a lot of that was from breakpoints. Good vibes. So yeah, we'll just wait a couple of seconds for a few more people to populate. As I think the announcement hasn't gone out yet. But in the meantime, yeah, I'd like to welcome everyone to our Q1 call. So it's been a few months since we've had any type of ecosystem update. We've decided to do these on a quarterly basis because of everything, how busy we are behind the scenes going on the build side. And we have some really interesting things to share today, later on in the call, with regards to what we've been busy building. So yeah, we've got some interesting guests today, who are going to be jumping on later in the stream. We've got a few different team members from different parts of the team at dBridge, from the business development side to the products. So you'll get a few different aspects of what's going on behind the scenes at dBridge. And that's across protocol growth, across some of the insights happening that we can draw from protocol activity and liquidity flows on dBridge. You'll get a deep dive into a new product that we've released, and definitely some alpha on the product roadmap as well. We're also taking questions throughout, so please drop comments and questions in the comment section, and we'll try to get through them towards the end of the call, if not throughout the call. So yeah, let's get into it. Alex, do you want to talk a little bit about some of the big wins we've had this quarter on the protocol side?
Absolutely. It's 31st of March, so the last day of the first quarter of 2026. Looks to be a good day to do this quarterly call. And Q1 has been insane already, and we've been super busy building, as always, because as you know, dBridge is a product-focused and engineering-focused company. And at the same time, we've had a few big wins. One of those is 20 billion volumes that we hit in Q1, and that's a cross-chain volume alone. If you account for the same chain volumes, the total number will be 30 plus billion. And yeah, it's very interesting because it took us more than 3 years to do the first 10 billions in volumes, and the second came in just 8 months. So the traction and the activity is growing really fast. And huge thanks to everyone who's using dBridge, to our users who interact with the protocol directly through the dBridge app that is hosted at app.dbridge.com. And also a huge shout out to all of our integration partners, builders, and applications who leverage dBridge API and our infrastructure to empower the the seamless on-chain trading experience for their end users. So yeah, and on top of that, recently we've also announced dBridge MCP. And we introduced the concept of vibe trading because you all guys probably have been following the developments of AI and agentic flow, and especially like what Claude Code has done for builders, right? Because like previously to build the app, you got to have experience in different programming languages. You got to understand engineering, and AI tools and AI models actually gave builders and enthusiasts the way to build interesting and powerful apps without deep technical experience, right? And without like expertise in the engineering. And now, like with vibe trading in dBridge, our goal is also like to give the tooling for the users to build the powerful trading strategies. Because previously you got to understand the programming, you got to be able to sort of build very sophisticated execution algorithms in order to build profitable trading strategies. Right. So with the dBridge MCP, that's not needed anymore because we actually provide the tool for anyone to build the on-chain trading strategies without the deep expertise and knowledge of the programming. So basically similar to what like Claude Code, like Cursor are like the capabilities that these tools are giving for enthusiasts. Like dBridge MCP is also the tool that allow anyone to trade seamlessly on-chain without deep technical knowledge, which is very exciting. And we'll go into more detail about like how dBridge MCP works later on this call. But check out our announcement, and you can just like ask Claude or ChatGPT or Codex, whatever AI agents you're using, just to install dBridge MCP and build your own trading strategy, or sort of build some specific trade, and it will be seamlessly executed right in your AI terminal. So yeah, that's quite exciting, and something that we put a lot of efforts into to make the trading to be as accessible as internet and give that tooling to everyone.
Yeah, so we've got a lot more to go into on MCP a bit later in the call, in terms of the more technical details and how people are already starting to use it. But before we get there, yeah, we need to kind of assess the overall growth and protocol activity at dBridge to see what's been happening. So Alex, do you want to talk a bit about the volume?
Yeah, Q1 has been super fruitful, and exciting in general. And we've processed more than $2 billion of total volume. And putting in perspective of overall market condition, on-chain volumes are still decent and basically near what they were last year at this time, despite the poor sentiment. And that actually validates and shows that dBridge is a key infrastructure and key product for the on-chain trading. Lots of users and applications are using the infrastructure in order to enable seamless on-chain user experience. And it's great to see the overall trend in general, that a lot of volume is actually moving from the TradFi venues and from Saxes on-chain. And the DeFi gets more and more adoption. People love to trade on-chain because they never lose custody, right? And that's what dBridge is famous for, because it's the fully non-custodial solution with the great track record in terms of security, because we've never had any security incidents, any vulnerabilities discovered. And since day one, dBridge has proven to be the safest venue to trade on-chain in a non-custodial fashion. And that's probably one of the reasons why we're still seeing great volumes on-chain processed by dBridge. And yeah, 2 billion this quarter alone is not a small number. And we had more than 100,000 users, 122,000 users, which is also a good number. And again, like huge shout out to everyone who is using DeepBridge. Yeah, Johnny, what were the main chains and ecosystems where we saw this activity?
Yeah, no, I think it's the cross-chain volume, and broadly the cross-chain market is kind of a good indicator of that people are still actually alive on chain. Despite the fact that there's a lot of the sentiment is quite poor in the market right now. People are still moving value. They're still looking for different opportunities. And yeah, like just to put it in perspective, so roughly 4,000 new users per day every day this quarter have been for the first time using DeepBridge, right? And they come to DeepBridge to achieve something on another ecosystem usually. So this quarter we saw Solana, Base, and Ethereum all kind of having outsized volume. Ethereum is kind of unsurprising because generally during kind of risk-off environments, people are typically flocking to stablecoins on Ethereum L1. That's just a very typical cyclical behavior that we see. But yeah, it's encouraging to see that even despite the sort of poor sort of price performance, we can say this quarter, people are still very much active on chain. Things are moving forward. And I think that this volume does reflect it because, last quarter, Q1 2025, the volumes were a bit higher, but not like orders of magnitude higher. So, in previous bear market cycles, we would see like a huge, massive spike during the bull market, and then there would be a collapse in activity. So it's really encouraging that we're still seeing this. Repeat users, and people are still, exploring new ecosystems as well as like rebalancing liquidity and looking for new opportunities, despite the market movement and the sentiment.
Yeah, and that activity directly converts into the DAO earnings because on that cumulative chart, you can see that DeepBridge DAO has earned more than $2 million in the first quarter alone, right? And that volume is fully organic because DeepBridge has been charging fees from day one, and we charge the small fee for the speed, security, and the overall user experience that our users are getting. And that creates value for DeepBridge DAO, which is also great to see. And like speaking about the on-chain markets, I think Solana, Base, Ethereum, Hyperliquid, and Tron have been the most active ecosystems, and USDC is a highly popular asset on DeepBridge. Like our users like to trade and to move stable coins between different ecosystems, and we've seen a lot of adoption for USDT on Tron. As you know, last year, at the end of last year actually, I think back and forth we've launched the support of Tron ecosystem, and I think that USDT on Tron is still sort of one of the major assets used for cross-chain, cross-border payments and cross-border settlements. And DeepBridge as an infrastructure becomes more and more popular for those who are managing liquidity on Tron. And through DeepBridge, you can just like trade USDT on Tron into, let's say, USDC on Solana seamlessly in a few seconds. And like Hyperliquid also still super popular, and the Hyperliquid team has done a great job in terms of adoption of the HIP-3 markets and making derivatives on the real world assets such as oil, gold, and others, basically making these assets to be available 24/7. And it's really amazing to see, that assets that people used to trade on classical venues like Nasdaq are now tradable on chain, and Hyperliquid as a DeFi native team, is leading this shift from TradFi to DeFi, and powering more and more on-chain markets. And dBridge acts as a sort of onboarding funnel for that liquidity, letting any institutions and users to move liquidity seamlessly from other ecosystems to Hyperliquid and trade derivatives on oil, gold, and other assets. So yeah, big shout out to Hyperliquid team for enabling that.
Yeah, so there's
what are the other catalysts, Yanni?
Yeah, so there's a few different points here. I think one to highlight here is Tron, right? Because traditionally Tron has been this kind of elephant in the on-chain room, so to speak, where I haven't checked it for a while, but last time I checked, it was like, I don't know, $80 billion worth of USDT. It was like roughly 50% of all USDT, which is obviously the biggest stable coin, and 50% was on Tron alone. So I think it was roughly 9 months ago or so we added support for Tron, and volumes have slowly started to pick up on Tron, and we're starting to see more Tron users, which are typically a bit more siloed than some other kind of ecosystems, as in they're not as they're not as sort of DeFi native in the sense of like experimenting with a lot of different dApps on different ecosystems as some other like EVM ecosystems, for example, are. And so we're starting to see more capital migrating to and from Tron in the form of USDT. Our deck has just disappeared. Let's try and get the deck back.
Yeah, and while we are fixing the deck, I would also like to mention the growth of activity of the and the same chain volumes on dBridge, because historically dBridge has been known for powering cross-chain transfers and cross-chain trades. But what we are seeing during the last 6 months or so, the huge growth of the same chain volumes. And as you probably remember, last year we've announced the meta aggregation for the same chain trades. And internally in dBridge, we've built very sophisticated and powerful simulation infrastructure, which allows us to find the best execution, the best route for any trade, right? So whenever you do the trade, like same chain trade or cross chain trade on dBridge, we query all liquidity sources and all aggregators such as 1inch, 0x, OpenOcean, Kyber, basically all of them. And then instead of relying on the API responses, we simulate all the transactions and all the responses based on the latest state of the blockchain, right? And we pick the best route and the best execution path based on simulation. And that's why, like when trading on dBridge, you get the best execution rate, because like we just like query all liquidity sources, simulate them all, and pick the best one based on simulation. And I think this meta aggregation is a very powerful tool and approach in general that allows users to get the better pricing. And for many assets, we are now seeing that on-chain market gives actually the better execution than TradFi markets, especially with the growth of prop AMMs on Solana and beyond. So yeah, great to see the same chain volumes are growing, because yeah, as I mentioned, like dBridge, we have the part like bridge in the name, right? But we are bridging not only like cross-chain liquidity, but we're also bridging the gap for same chain liquidity as well. And I think now, if we check the analytics page on our Explorer, dBridge same chain volumes are even higher than dBridge cross-chain volumes during some days, which is also great to see. And yeah, thanks to everyone who has trust in dBridge in terms of like on-chain execution for same chain markets as well. That's very exciting.
Yeah, and this is represented in the flows chart here, or if you go to Explorer, explorer.dbridge.finance.com, sorry. You can see in our analytics here that actually the base to base flows are at the moment, and have been for a few months, for this quarter, have been the bulk of volume. So it's actually good to see that growth as well. So yeah, a few updates to go through on the DAO side. So just a reminder, last June, July, the dBridge Reserve Fund was launched. So this was an initiative on the dBridge Foundation side. Essentially, at first of its kind, dashboard and initiative that gives the community full insight and transparency into everything happening on the DAO side. So as part of that, there's a mechanism. So all dBridge protocol earnings are converted into DBR. So that is all. You can validate that on dbridge.foundation, which is the dBridge Reserve Fund dashboard. You can see a couple of screenshots from the dashboard here, but actually it's quite impressive that just this quarter, 1.1% of the total supply, not the circulating supply, but the total supply of DBR was acquired by the dBridge Reserve Fund, and that's held on the DAO's balance sheet. So that brings it up to a total of 4.8% that has been acquired from the open market just since June, when the Reserve Fund launched. So it's actually quite an interesting initiative. There's a few different, like for example, I think Hyperliquid has it's called the Hyperliquid Assistance Fund. But what's really nice about the dBridge Reserve Fund is, again, like on the dashboards, you can visualize everything. You have links to the actual on-chain vaults. So if you haven't checked out the foundation dashboard, dbridge.foundation. But then, obviously here as well, we also have the component of the treasury as well. So Alex, if you want to talk a bit about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So as Johnny mentioned, you can find the dashboard and all the analytics and details on dbridge.foundation. But it's really quite one of a kind, approaches that dBridge DAO has taken. Big part of it, we get inspiration from the Hyperliquid team and the Hyperliquid Assistance Fund. And I think Hyperliquid is using 97% of the protocol revenues. And this 97% are flowing into the Assistance Fund, while dBridge Reserve Fund is using 100% of the protocol revenue. And the traction has been quite exciting, because the dBridge Reserve Fund and this dashboard were launched back in summer, I think beginning of July last year. And in less than a year, it has accumulated 4.8% of total supply. There are not many projects in DeFi that has, a positive sum economy and can actually generate value from for the protocol activity. And dBridge is one of those protocols that actually has these fundamentals in place, where the activity and trading volumes are getting converted into the value and are accumulated into the DAO treasury. And this quarter alone, the dBridge Reserve Fund has acquired 1.1% in 3 months, right? Even though the market is not the best, dBridge is still generating decent volume. And the treasury has around $30 million in assets. And again, on dbridge.foundation, you can see the exact composition of this pie chart, and you can just hover on each part of this pie chart and validate on-chain that all the assets are indeed there. So there are links to every single vault and every asset. So we provide full transparency and full auditability of the bridge treasury and the bridge DAO and the bridge reserve fund activity, which is quite unique. And again, like I really like the projects in DeFi who manage to figure out the business model and understand like how to generate value from the activity. Because like when you have zero fees, it's very easy to show any activity, right? There is a lot of inorganic flow and transactions, but it's very hard to create value when you actually take fee. And it's just amazing to see that the bridge has managed to find this product market fit and that users are actually using the bridge to, because we solve real problem and we enable secure and safest, on-chain trading for everyone. So yeah, the bridge DAO is growing, treasury is growing, and that's awesome. So the Bridge Foundation is the website that you guys can check out to validate this all.
Yeah, and we've things have been extremely busy on the build side. I think we've sort of been in sprint mode for like the last year.
Almost a year, in May.
Yeah.
It'll be a year since we started. But yeah, this is very exciting, and this is the most sophisticated and challenging protocol we've ever built, right? And this is not just an upgrade, but this is basically fully gasless execution flow and like gasless protocol built on top of existing DLN, right? Because in dBridge, as you know, we are product focused and engineering focused company with the big engineering culture. And since we've now raised a ton of money and funding from strategic partners, we always had to be sort of creative and find the ways to build product that has real fundamentals, right? And product that brings real value. And back in the days, like back in 2022, that led us to the idea of zero TVL design. And we've been pioneers of zero TVL design that allowed anyone to trade on-chain without liquidity pools, where settlement is happening from the balance sheet of the solver, right? And we are one of the pioneers of Intents as well. But in terms of zero TVL, I think dBridge is still probably one of the only protocol that has this design, which is like super capital efficient. But we've realized that in terms of on-chain trading, there is still a big problem, because when you trade on-chain, in many cases, you still have to build the route as a user. You still have to broadcast transaction. You have to deal with RPCs. And RPC and blockchain node is something that always stops working when you actually need it. And you get to change RPC in the wallet, or you get to adjust gas limit, and the overall user experience is very bad. And we start to think like, how do we build a really powerful user experience which is fully gasless, where users can have fully gasless execution flow? And we came with this idea of the new protocol that is built on top of dBridge Liquidity Network, DLN. It does not like substitute the existing protocol. It's basically its extension built on top, which enables quite a new and quite a unique set of advantages and features for the users, right? So we fully switch from transactions to intents. And as you probably know, back in December in Abu Dhabi, we've announced dBridge bundles, and that's the primitive that allows to bundle together any number of transactions and trades, either cross-chain or same chain, so they're executed all or none, right? And the beauty of this approach is that users always get default MEV and revert protection, and users does not need to interact with RPCs. So basically, user signs the intent, and solver executes the action while it must comply with constraints or intent that are signed by the users. So we actually, like, the main advantage is that we fully switch the execution from user side to solver side. User just defines the constraints under which the execution must happen, and the execution is happening by the solver. Because like when you do the classical on-chain trading, when you query APIs and then confirm transaction in the wallet, you cannot execute efficiently because market is changing a lot. And you have no way, for example, to simulate transaction 10 times per second, while robots and solvers can do that. So we switch this, we move execution to solver so that solver can query all liquidity sources dynamically, like 10 times per second, simulate them all, and then execute very quickly, which gives users default MEV protection and the best execution price. So yeah, user just expresses the desired outcome and protocol handles the execution across chain. So like users don't ever need to face like multi-step orchestration, don't need to sign many transactions. User just like make one click and then any action is getting executed in a second. A few use cases just to give you example. You have your ETH across 5 different chains and you want to trade it all into Sol and Solana. And you don't want to sign like 5 transactions one by one, right? So with this new protocol and with dBridge bundles, you now can achieve that flow where you just like do one click and all your assets are consolidated into a single target asset that you want to receive. Or for example, you want to pay 100 USDC for something in the online shop and you have like meme coins across different chains. And now in a single click, you can just like consolidate or trade few of those meme coins into exactly 100 USDC, right? To pay for the order, let's say. And yeah, that allows to unlock a whole new class of applications, new wallets, new intent-driven agents and AI agents as well, and different composable trading systems. So with this new protocol, actually users will have the same trading toolkit that they have on TradFi venues and centralized exchanges. Let's say TWAPs, conditional orders, scaled orders, all the sophisticated instruments that you have on Saxes are now going to be available on chain. And the whole protocol is chain agnostic by design, right? So the execution is unified across all EVM chains and Solana and Tron as well. Everything is accessible in a single click, any complex cross-chain action. And yeah, it's fully self-custodial as well. And ever since we announced the dBridge bundles in Abu Dhabi, we've been doing the private rollout and gathering feedback from our key partners, testing everything. And yeah, we are getting amazing feedback. And public experiences for this new protocol are coming soon as well. I don't know if you can mention the name of the protocol, but yeah, Johnny, if you can give some alpha, go for it. If not, you guys gonna find out very soon.
Yeah, no, it's coming soon. I think people should be excited, especially if you've been a long-term user of dBridge. It's going to be a huge transformation, I think. But we have Damir. Hello, Damir.
Hello, everyone.
To go over one of the big product launches that's happened this quarter. So yeah, Damir, please talk us through MCP, what it is, why it's cool, what you're excited about.
Well, thank you very much. Well, pretty much everyone knows that AI is the thing right now. So that's what everyone is talking about, and it's fundamentally changing the way we live, and it's also changing the way we interact with software, because everything is just simpler. You can do a lot of things with just your voice right now, and you can also automate a lot of things. And it's also changing the way people interact with DeFi. Like, for instance, MCP stands for Model Context Protocol, and essentially that is a plugin for your AI. You can customize it the way you want. And with dBridge MCP, you can basically do everything you would normally do through dBridge app. So you can bridge across the chains. You can also do same chain swaps. And the thing with dBridge MCP, how it works is that it's essentially a wrapper around our API. So pretty much anyone that has access to some form of an agent that can connect to an MCP server can become an integrator right in their own terminal or whichever interface they use to communicate with their agent. And agent can get a lot of things from the dBridge MCP server, like for instance, quotes, and they can act on them. They can, as we've mentioned, same chain swaps are pretty big right now on what we're doing, like the meta aggregation. And you get actual comparisons for the rates which are incoming. And we don't really have the way to interact with the transactions that we deliver through the MCP server in our MCP server, but you can stack it with other things. Like one of the things we've experimented with is the open wallet, and you can sign transactions through it. Other things are you can get your agent to automate your trading. Like we've mentioned vibe trading as a possibility right now. So you can just do stuff. So I find that pretty cool. And one of the things that ties really well into the previous point, which Alex has mentioned on the upcoming protocol, is that protocol will make reasoning for agents a lot simpler, because right now things are transaction driven and it's more difficult for humans, but also for agents to reason about transactions because they have to parse a lot of things. But when things are intent based, which I'm really looking forward to, you have no idea, it changes a lot of stuff, and like whole classes of applications are possible. I mean, even right now with the dBridge MCP server, we're seeing some upcoming integrators integrating the dBridge MCP server into some form of, I can't reveal much, but like some form of companions and avatars, which you can get to do things for you. Like they have certain skills, and like it'll be really amazing. So I give a word to the next speaker. Thank you very much for having me.
Thanks, Amir.
Thank you. Yeah, it's very cool. So soon you guys are gonna be able to just talk to agents and say, I want to buy like $100 equivalent of Pepe token every day, and the agents will just execute that trade for you periodically in a fully automated mode, give you the overview of your portfolio composition, and provide you with the daily or hourly updates on how your portfolio is performing and what P&L it has right now. Yeah, which is great. Like we get a lot of free time now, probably since recently, I guess many of active traders had to sort of control the charts, and keep an eye on what's going on. Now you can just like define the set of rules using your voice, and the agent's gonna execute that all, and have dBridge MCP under the hood that powers all this on-chain trading experience.
Yeah, and a lot of teams are starting to build some really interesting applications with MCP, and also, some of the alpha that you mentioned earlier, Alex, some of the upcoming experiences as well. So we've got Seri and Gal to talk about that more on the integrator and the growth side of the story. So I'm just going to bring up those guys and we'll hand it over.
Hey guys.
Hey guys.
Yeah, I was just thinking, man, if only I had an AI agent DCAing into Bitcoin 15 years ago. God damn. Anyway, yeah.
It's coming.
It's coming soon, yeah. Some major wins lately with alongside the product developments and what we've been doing there. So, of course, as you guys know, we have dBridge EOS, which has been our plug-and-play solution to allow any blockchain, as long as they're compatible with the infrastructure, to plug in and get shortly support into the dBridge infrastructure. So we have already dozens and dozens of chains that have gone through that. And it's been a very, very good way to raise the standards for how seamless it is to get cross-chain connectivity. Because before, usually from what we've seen is it's a tedious process. There's only a handful of providers. And now we're at a stage where it's much more seamless and almost like a SaaS model where you can easily plug in. So one of the recent ones for us has been MegaETH. That has been an exciting one for Q1. And also the exciting thing that we're seeing is the recent integrations and the different use cases that they cover. So things like institutional custody with Anchorage, that's been a very exciting one, and feedback has been awesome there. Also, especially because of the speed of settlement and the execution that we provide, new bots like Trojan and Maestro, big shout out to them for their recent support. So far, the feedback from their users has been really good. And also use cases around, bringing capital markets on chain with products like Surge. So helping users get on board more seamlessly into products like these is one of the great use cases that we offer. So yeah, it's really good to see how things are evolving there. And the ecosystem is much wider actually than if we step back a bit and we go to the next one, there's actually much more of the ecosystem is actually much bigger. There we go. Yeah, so in terms of use case coverage, big shout out to all the partners. It's much bigger than this one, but we wanted to add some notable names, of course, like some of the major wallet providers, one of which we'll actually have on the call very soon. There he is. And also some Telegram bots, terminals. They really love the execution and the speed that we offer. Also perp dexes, payments infrastructure. We're really seeing this neobank trend happening lately, and they need a solution where users can get onboarded easily no matter where they are. And this is been the trend lately, especially this last quarter while we're refining the product, is that the use case coverage is expanding and expanding over time. So we're even seeing things like neobanks, cross-chain, cross-border payments, AI agents, DEXs. So the amount of use cases and the use case coverage that dBridge infrastructure can cover is expanding over time, which is awesome to see. And we also really, from like a internal perspective, to shed some light on our strategy, we're actually aiming to cover as many use cases as possible from the protocol success perspective, because no matter what happens in the market, so whether it's the trenches are quiet or whatever happens, we're still going to have activity and demand from other use cases and sources of order flow, like cross-border payments or anything else. So that's how we're thinking about strategy from the distribution side. And we also always promote the idea that no matter where you want to build an application, choose the ecosystem that treats you best. You don't have to deploy on dozens and dozens of chains and bootstrap liquidity pools on many chains. Pick the few that treat you best and then use infrastructure like dBridge to essentially enable this global accessibility where no matter where a user is, they can still interact with your app just as if they're on the same chain. And the last thing I wanted to mention before we move over to the next topic is the fact that the paradigm is shifting. Like the way we're positioning ourselves, and Alex and Johnny hinted it earlier, where we're shifting from this chain first paradigm to this asset first paradigm. Because users are now, the standard for UX is elevating, and we need to adapt to that. So users aren't thinking so much about, okay, which chain am I on? They don't want to think so much about it. They want to think about which asset do I have and which what's the outcome that I want without having to think about the how. So that's a bit of an insight of the sort of paradigm we're going into with the industry as a whole. But I'll leave it to you guys now.
So today we have a very special guest joining us. So today we have Alex from the BitGet Wallet with us on the stream today. BitGet Wallet needs no introduction. They have one of the biggest wallets in crypto, more than 90 million plus users. For those of you who don't know, dBridge actually powers swaps across inside BitGet Wallet. I will let Alex give a quick intro about what he does at BitGet and maybe like a bit of like an overview of BitGet Wallet, where things are heading. So Alex, the stage is yours.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me. This is like a family call. We have a very good relationship with dBridge. And hi, I'm Alex. I'm the senior BD of partnership team in BitGet Wallet, now based in Dubai, dodging missiles and swimming in the floods. But my job is actually to keep an eye on the market, what's trending out there, and what's actually the product that users need, and to cut away all the noise. So that's why, the dBridge has become a perfect example for this partnership. You guys actually powered a big chunk of our cross-chain swaps, and I really appreciate that you're supporting like every trendy layer one from day one. On the integration side, that's actually saving us a lot of work because of your infrastructure. Every time you add a new chain or new route, basically we got the coverage for free. So we don't scramble around and integrate a new bridge every time. The one integration that is compounding value. So I would say that's like one of the highest ROI partnership we've done. So quick background about me. I came from mechanical engineering. So I studied in the US. I tend to approach things a little bit more systematically. So in partnership, I'll break things down and figure out what's actually needed and move the needles. And cutting away the noise is definitely one of the big things in the industry. So we are gradually going through this transformation during 2025, transitioning from a campaign-driven, airdrop-driven wallet into a more user-faced direction. So that's how we grow up to 90 million users. And we're pushing towards this neobank narrative and everyday finance. And just like Gail mentioned, this is where the assets actually works. In BitGet CEX, they're looking at the UEX, which means you can trade every asset on the CEX, and the wallet is the same. We're trying to keep this concept for BitGet and shifting the changes with every partnership, every integration.
That's super cool. I wanted to dive deeper into some of the questions that I have prepared for this live stream. But the most of the questions are like generally what I think about wallets, and I wanted to like cover some of the basic questions. I think today when I see the wallet space, I feel like the wallet space is super crowded. Like if I'm a user and if I'm a new user just like getting into crypto, and if I want to download a wallet, and if I Google it, users are just spoiled with choices. So today, what do you think makes BitGet wallet different from other wallets right now? What do you think makes user download BitGet wallet as their first crypto wallet?
That's a very good question, and we have a lot of like well-known listed wallet partners up here. But when you look at the overall product, everything looks the same on paper, right? They have multi-chain, swap, DF browser. What actually makes the difference is that the user experience. I don't just mean that we support like 100 chains. I mean, we make cross-chain and filling make like one seamless action. This means when users are trying to buy a token like on a different chain, you'll never think of what's the native gas token of the chain. In the wallet, the swap should be a one-click process.
Yeah.
And not only that, the seamless transaction, we're also pushing on the gasless side. These are some small nuance that makes user experience very special on our wallet. So we have already rolled out a lot of gas experience on Solana, Base Chain, BNB Chain. And here, we're actually leveraging our own resource, trying to provide these directly to the users to minimize their fees, to remove this friction, and make it feel like a normal app, not just like a crypto app. So this is what we care about the most. Yep.
So today, are wallets competing with other wallets, exchanges, or fintech apps like Revolut?
Yes, this is, from the short term, I would say we are competing with other wallets, but we've also mentioned like how AI have beaten SaaS, right? So
Yeah.
in the future, our goal, our main competitor might not be the wallets you're seeing up here. It's where user really put their assets at. Like for example, it's not going to be like competition against Phantom or MetaMask, those early days tycoons. It becomes a default place where people actually manage their money every day, not only crypto, but also cash. In Big Ed Wallets, I'm very proud to say we are the best wallet out there providing for payments, everyday payments. You can pay your crypto and the merchants will get in fiat. This is something that we different from other wallets. And we're pushing this neobank narrative. And we think this is the way how we are going to evolve into the next, the super app.
Also, I've also seen this, I think since the past month, I've seen like a lot of conversations about AI, and everyone is launching like the AI agentic skills. And I know you guys launched that recently too. And a lot of your competitors have launched something similar. So where do you guys see yourself in that race? How is the adoption going on that
Oh yeah,
front?
that's actually my favorite question because I actually lead the agentic wallet
Oh, wow.
developments and partnership for Big Ed Wallet, so I got a lot to say. So we started quite early, like back in January 27th this year. We have already been early into the game, setting up our Big Ed Wallet AI lab. And the first, what we bring out is that we value agentic wallet users. These wallets users are super active. They will be trading based on automatic strategies that are deployed, and its activeness on chain will be much higher than. So we're also speculating like what other people are doing, like Coinbase, like Trust, mostly on a SDK level of tooling. So on the 2C side, we brought out this AI agent skills that helps users to manage its wallet assets through a very autonomous way. And at first we put in the 2B aggregator side into the wallet to make sure that agent wallet can have a smooth trading experience, just like the user did inside our app. And maybe in the future, on top of that, we'll add our payments and actually have your agents to buy from Amazon and ship to your home.
Is that alpha?
That is probably some alpha. Oh, slip of mouth.
That's great. We are definitely going to clip that section and use it for our socials. And that's great, Alpha. I think the next question is like something generally which I wanted to ask is like BitGet Wallet is part of a bigger brand, which is BitGet Exchange, right? I just wanted to understand that do your users overlap? Are you guys competing for the same user base, or there is a difference in the user base between like BitGet Wallet and BitGet Exchange? Because I feel like now the lines are getting really blurry. Like earlier, there used to be like we needed 5 different apps for 5 different things. Now everything is just like consolidating into the wallet interface. So I think my question here is like, yeah, the user base between BitGet Wallet and BitGet Exchange. Is there a differentiation? Is there an overlap? How do you guys think about that?
I get this question a lot, and people used to overthink about it. Think it like this. So BitGet Exchange is more like a curated experience. The team has already done a lot of due diligence and showcasing all the assets that are safe and already very trendy to the public. So they brought you a clear selection after their sorting process. So you go there when you want to trade seriously, like perps and spot and copy trading, all has been done filtered for you. But BitGet Wallets, we are independently running parallel to the team, but we share some resource. So it's more like your everyday finance tool for the exploration layer. There's much more interesting things going on chain. And when that alpha happens, you can find it easily inside Bigget Wallet. You can farm some yield, you can bridge to a chain that just launched, and those will be covered in wallets like earlier than exchanges. And there's something that I generally believe is that in the future, the pricing power will gradually shift from CEX trading pairs to on-chain. We're already seeing it, like in the last bull run for the meme coins. There are more and more price discoveries just happening before going listed on CEX. All the AMM pools, and the exchange will always have its role for the final destination, but the frontier and the user in Web3 are moving on-chain. So that's how you can view like wallets are there for early alphas and for discoveries on-chain. Yep.
That makes sense. You guys are also like one of literally like the biggest wallets in crypto, and you probably like have an insane alpha about user behavior. I want to know from where you sit, what do you think is a gap in the wallet space today that nobody is solving for?
I think, first of all, cross-chain UX is not where it needs to be. Like, it's gotten better. It's working with team like DeepRich is a big part of it. I used to joke about it with Gal, saying that we're bringing in DeepRich through your support for Hyper EVM, like a Trojan horse, but in a good way. Like the Trojan horse has brought up a lot of benefits for our integration. So the whole concept of bridging needs to disappear, because this is very contradictory. The chain abstraction isn't just a buzzword; it's like a future UX requirement. What we're doing to have gasless transactions is always for this ultimate goal. And secondly, I think the other unresolved lab is the AI agent future. So we don't actually have a good permission and security model for these agents. So if I let an agent trade on my behalf, what's the boundaries? Like, how much can it spend every day? Is it going to be exploited? Nobody really have an idea of how the guardrails here, right? We're working on it. So that's like an industry-wide problem. Thirdly, I would say privacy. We've seen the word privacy quite a lot these days. And the whole blockchain itself, it's famous for its transparency. How do you combine these two contradictory ideas? I think in the future, we'll see more ZK technologies get involved and to balance these two out. So I think we're very open to privacy solutions, and we hope to see more comprehensive features integrated into wallets maybe in the future. Fourth would probably how to bridge like Web2 people into Web3 using the on and off ramp. Especially like we are now growing global. So we're looking at the MENA, the Southeast Asia, Latin America. Those are some unexplored markets that we're going to sail to.
That makes sense. I think we are running out of time a bit, but before we let you go, I have 3 impromptu rapid fire questions for you. Super simple. Number 1, what's your favorite, like who is your favorite CT account right now? Or you like watch their tweets often and you think they're cool, they're funny, they're nice.
Gal, what's your favorite account?
It's a tough one. There's so many. Sherry, I'm passing it on to you.
My favorite is native. Like, I watch a lot of native memes, and there's some of them are like AI related, some of them are crypto related, but he always get a good angle to find the meme. Personally,
my favorite account is, I think, for me, every time I refresh my timeline and I see a banger tweet by Chase Barker, and I'm like, wow, this guy is so based. Chase from the Solana Foundation. I find him super funny. So I think he's my favorite CT account right now.
Honestly, I've been following Min a lot lately. He's really good.
Yeah.
I especially like his video on doing the trading, how to make one trade to get retired.
Do you guys know that Min has close to 1 million followers on TikTok?
Congrats. That's big.
I
number.
just found out
Wow.
today. That's insane. Okay, second question. Is there any account that you have muted or blocked?
Blocked.
A controversial CT account that you might have muted or blocked at some point.
Well, from a partnership standpoint, we were very open to all sorts of accounts. So I will not personally block any accounts. Always open for, collaborations, even if they have a bad history before. But get to know people better. It's definitely important. Not blocking people.
That's a top tier BD answer.
Yep.
And the last question, you have to answer it super honestly. What's your favorite bridge?
Favorite bridge, D-Bridge, for sure. The first thing definitely is because of its zero liquidity design. Like I have multiple whale friends have been like telling me how their assets are not safe on like Wormhole or Stargate. I shouldn't name this, but they have like this designed flaw. But the zero liquidity from D-Bridge actually solve it quite seamlessly, and it's one of the fastest bridge out there. And you can farm like sweet D-Bridge points. Not to mention, yes.
I have learned this as a Gen Z thing. This is clapping. So every time somebody says D-Bridge, I'm like, yes, my team's doing amazing. Okay, thank you so much for joining us today. Had an amazing chat. I'm going to get Alex and Johnny on stage to just wrap up this call quickly.
Johnny,
Okay,
you're
ready?
Yeah, having some guy was playing some loud music outside the office, so I had to kind of to shuffle.
Okay.
But yeah, big shout out to Alex from BitGet Wallet for joining. And yeah, we've gone through a lot of stuff today across protocol growth, the DAO side. Alex gave a ton of alpha on the second board. Demir was kind of explaining more about his perspective on MTP. He also has some interesting tutorials on his account on X, which is Demir_D-Bridge. I'm trying to boost Demir a bit. But yeah, so we're going to be having these calls once a quarter at the end of the quarter. So obviously end of Q2 will be the next one. And I think by then we should have some really interesting alpha that has gone public in terms of the new product and everything else. So yeah, shout out to everyone who's taken the time out of their day to join and see what's cooking at D-Bridge. Yeah. Any last words, guys?
Thanks to everyone for being part of D-Bridge fam. Yeah, it all would not be possible without you guys, and yeah, so many community members and supporters of D-Bridge. So yeah, thanks everyone. It's been great to have you all with us alongside this journey. But yeah, the job is not done. We're just getting started. So stay tuned.
Yeah, and also a big disclaimer, like for the what is going to be the end of Q2 call in a few months, just a disclaimer, is going to be massive. So stay tuned. It's going to be crazy.
What up?
Yes.
All right,
Looking
guys.
forward. Awesome.
Thanks
Thank you
so much.
guys.
Thanks
everyone.
Thanks for everyone that joins. Cheers.
Thanks, guys.